The two big offseason acquisitions for your Washington Nationals have actually looked pretty damn good so far, including Michael Soroka, who adds another good start to spring training. How good can he be down the line for the Nationals?
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as our show page at LO_Nationals. For all your latest Nationals news and notes, make sure to check us out over on Twitter. And of course, look up Locked On Nationals wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's on Apple, Spotify, and of course, over on YouTube for the latest video version of this podcast. Later on in today's program, we'll be discussing the Nationals weekend. They have got a ton of good matchups right here for you that we will be discussing and previewing for you a little bit later on in today's program. In the second segment, we are bringing it back for year number 2, a Nationals prospect stock report. Who's been hot and who has been not. We'll discuss that and all your Nationals prospects later on in today's show. And in the first segment, let's get into some key offseason acquisitions for the Nationals and get you up to speed on how they are looking so far in spring training. But before we jump into it, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. So let's get started with discussing Michael Soroka. And so far through spring training, he has looked like his all-star self. Like, his velocity has been up. He has touched, I believe, up in the upper 90s up to this point, or even when he was an all-star with the Atlanta Braves, he was not doing that. So far, I think it might be a real thing. Michael Soroka may have bounced back and may just be back to his old self, and the Washington Nationals may have it seem as if they might have the steal of this offseason. Now, is this an overreaction? It absolutely is. It's only been 2 starts. It's only been a handful of innings. But I cannot help but notice so far that Michael Soroka looks really damn good. What he did in yesterday's start, which was on Masson, by the way, so you got to watch it, and I got to watch it. 4 innings pitched, 4 hits, 6 strikeouts, and 0 walks. That is the most important line, in my opinion, is that he walked 0 batters in yesterday's performance. If you look at Michael Soroka's numbers from really the last few seasons here, but really more importantly, this past one, Michael Soroka was just a shell of himself. Again, having a 4.74 ERA. And then in 2023, when he had 7 appearances with the Braves, he had a 6.4 ERA. This is someone who missed the full season in 2021 and in 2022, got back in 2023, but really has not looked like his true self since 2019. Michael Soroka may as well be back at this point. Because let's take a little look at his numbers from this past season. Really what hindered him the most. Last year, he had 5 walks per 9 innings to only 9.5 strikeouts. This was someone at his peak that only walked 2 batters per 9 innings back in 2019 when he finished 6th in the Cy Young race in the National League, was an all-star, and finished 2nd in Rookie of the Year voting. This is right now how good this guy is. And again, it's only been 2 starts. But the main concerns of Michael Soroka aren't really showing at this point. His velocity is up, which is not something that we expected. So that is a plus. He is not walking batters up to this point. That is a big plus also. The way that Michael Soroka has been pitching so far is looking like someone that I want in the starting rotation moving forward. And that says a lot because I was the one saying that you should not have this guy in this rotation. He should be in the bullpen. He should be what he does best up to this point in his career. Mike Rizzo and Davey Martinez, they said, shh. This guy's going to be a starter. He's going to be in the rotation. And these are really early signs of what is to come, I believe. Like, I'm not going to tell you that Michael Soroka is going to have this massive season for the Nationals where he's an all-star once again, and we're going to look to extend him down the road. We don't know that up to this point. But I'm just telling you this, and you're probably acknowledging this also. He has been wildly impressive. This is someone that I am starting to get really excited about as he continues to make his starts every 5 days. Now at this point, I don't really have to convince myself that Michael Soroka, he's going to be in the rotation, I guess. Maybe he does turn back to his 2019 self. I'm not really talking about that. I'm excited to see him in this rotation. And that change, maybe it's just getting the giddies up here because we are just a few weeks away from opening day and baseball is getting closer and closer as we speak. It just got closer as we said that. But so far, Mike Rizzo has been correct on this. He has looked really good so far in spring training. And yesterday's appearance that he had going 4 innings deep against the Cardinals and against former first-round pick of the Nationals, Eric Fetty, it's pretty cool, man. This is what you want to see from your key offseason pieces that you come here and you gave him a 1-year, $9 million deal, which was a lot of money for someone who has not started consistently since 2019. So this is a cool moment. Maybe the Nationals stub their toe into a next great starting pitcher here in DC. It's way too early to tell. Am I way too excited? You're damn right I am. But so far, so good for Michael Soroka. Now let's talk about Nathaniel Lowe. Nathaniel Lowe has struggled a little bit, but from what I have seen, even between the struggles here, I see someone who is very disciplined at the plate. I see someone who is very good defensively. And I also see someone who is a team leader, in which the Nationals need. It doesn't seem as if at this point in time that he is wildly bothered by the arbitration process, although I'm sure probably deep inside him, he probably feels some type of way and some kind of resentment. He was already told from the team he won a World Series with, we don't need you anymore. We have other plans over at first base. So he's got a chip on his shoulder. And then also, once he comes to his new team who trades for him, who wants him here, they don't think he's worth whatever the amount that he thought he was worth. And the Nationals won that case and got him for a little less money entering this season. But it's looking as if that Nathaniel Lowe is going to have the plate discipline that the Nationals need. And that these younger guys, like we talked about yesterday, Dylan Cruz, C.J. Abrams, those two guys who really need the plate discipline to kind of step up in the year of 2025, Nathaniel Lowe is going to be a building block for those kind of guys and a mentor of sorts in this season. That's going to be a big deal for this team. And so when you talk about this Nationals offseason, it's not the flashiest thing ever. It was never going to be that flashy. We knew that and we understood it. But it's also starting to look pretty good. In the vision so far of spring training, you're starting to understand as to why Mike Rizzo made these moves. At least I am. And I'm starting to understand the vision for the Washington Nationals moving forward. I can now see the building blocks. And that is an exciting part here. And when you have these two guys coming over with Michael Soroka, who technically was a World Series champion with the Atlanta Braves, and Nathaniel Lowe, who was a World Series champion and who was a big piece to that 2023 Texas Rangers World Series team, it's exciting to get winners in your building and guys who have done it before. And more importantly, two guys with chips on their shoulders. I think so far, the Nationals offseason, it's looking pretty good. Like, It was not going to be great, in my opinion. Like, again, I think the Nationals should have tried to go after someone with a bigger name. I felt as if they should go after a Christian Walker. I felt as if they should have tried to make more improvements to the starting rotation, maybe add another bullpen piece because Kyle Finnegan, he's good. I like Kyle Finnegan, but I still would have wanted them to go out and try to sign a big time reliever of sorts. Lucas Sims, I think he's got the stuff, but so far it has not translated all too well. But with that in mind, the two key guys the Nationals have brought in this offseason, they're looking the part. And Michael Soroka has been very impressive so far through 2 spring training starts. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And now let's get into a Nats prospect stock report. This is what we'll be doing each and every Friday all the way through September and maybe October as well if the Nationals make a postseason run. So this is where you get your latest up-to-date performances of your Nationals prospects. And on Mondays, you'll be getting just the big leaguers prospect, not the prospect, the big leaguer stock report for your Washington Nationals. So on Fridays, the second segment is your Nats prospect stock report. And on Monday, it's just your Nats stock report. Who's been up and who has been down, who's been hot and who has been not. We'll discuss that after we tell you about our friends, very good friends, over at FanDuel. And of course, when the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because with FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay. And I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting, whether I'm backing my team for a late game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch 3. I never feel like I missed my chance. Plus, the app is so easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. So right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So later on in today's show, we'll be previewing the weekend that is with the Washington Nationals. And tonight they've got a 6:05 game against those New York Mets. So we'll discuss that and preview that game tonight, as you'll be able to actually listen to that game on a local radio station here in town. So that'll be pretty cool. Get to watch or listen to the Washington Nationals as they take on Juan Soto in the New York Mets. God, that stung. Oh, Juan Soto, man. Anyways, let's get into a Nats prospect stock report. Who has been up and who has been down? You cannot start off talking about Nats prospects without discussing Robert Hassel III so far. And in spring training, he has been killing it so far. He has been given an amplitude of opportunities for the Nationals. And with that, he has taken it and he has run with it so far. He is batting .370 with a .414 OBP, a .593 slug, which is very key because he has not had the power that he once had in 2022, really since he's had a ton of injuries so far. But he's got a home run. He's got 5 RBIs. He's got 3 doubles. He's got 2 walks as well. And Robert Hassel also a couple stolen bases in there, which I don't think we mentioned. But Robert Hassel III, this is like the version what you want to see from him. If he can stay healthy, if he can keep those wrists healthy, he is going to be a big bounce back candidate in 2025. You saw him healthy in the Arizona Fall League this past season, looked the part. He looked as if that he was number 1 healthy and number 2 ready to take off. He is still only 23 years old. Think about that for a second. When you traded for him a few years ago, being a big piece in that Juan Soto deal. He was what, 21 at that point, 20 years old? And now he's still only 23. And the people that have, waved the white flag on him saying, we're done, like he's not going to be what we thought he would be, I think it's silly at this point. He's still young. He still has time to develop. And you're starting to see that when he is healthy, he is going to be an impactful baseball player for the Washington Nationals. So it's good to see him healthy, and it's good to see him put up some big numbers. Speaking of someone who we thought would be putting up big numbers so far, he has not. Down for Yo-Yo Morales. And again, this is just a few weeks of spring training. It's not that serious. Do not get concerned. We're just playing along here. Yo-Yo Morales, although so far, just has not looked the part. He's batting .211 with a .549 OPS and just hasn't really looked right. Like, the Nationals have been kind of fiddly around with him. He's at first base. He's at third. He's going to DH. Yo-Yo Morales, like, I believe in the hitter. I believe that he is going to hit at the major league level. And I think we all know that. Like, this guy is a legit pure hitter. Even last year, having a down year, his OPS was still up in the high 700s. The one thing that I want to see with Yo-Yo is his approach. It feels as if at times he's going up there and just doesn't really know what he's going to do. Like, I don't know what kind of a hitter that Yo-Yo is. Is he a great contact hitter or is he a great power hitter? Coming out of the University of Miami, he was a great power hitter. But we have not seen that up to this point. And the power has not been there for Yo-Yo Morales, so he gets a stock down today. But now we have 3 stock ups for you. And we start off with former second-round pick out of high school, Kentucky Gatorade Player of the Year, Nathaniel Lowe. Again, he has been the slept-on prospect for the Nationals for years at this point. The same year that Brady House was really breaking onto the scene in Fredericksburg, Dalen Lyle was also doing the same. And so far in spring training, he's looking really good. He's got an .864 OPS. He's got a couple RBIs and 2 stolen bases. Meanwhile, he's doing this all in like 11 at-bats, I believe, in spring training. So it's a small sample size, but you see the talent. And you see the deep defensive capabilities that he displays also. He's really solid in right field or in left field or even can play center field. He's a great athlete. He can steal bases. He can hit. He can do a lot of different things. Now, unfortunately for him, he's kind of down in like the prospect zone where the Nationals just have a plethora of outfielding prospects. It starts off with Dylan Cruz. Then it goes to Robert Hassel. Then it's Dalen Lyle. You've also got Elijah Green in the mix. Like, the Nationals have a ton of outfielding prospects, in which is not a surprise because, again, like, this is what they've been working up to get. So Dalen Lyle is kind of down there, the totem pole. But as of right now, you got to feel good about where he is. And maybe, like, I've always said that Dalen Lyle is going to be the piece that'll be traded. Maybe that's not going to be the case. But he's looked really good. I love what I have seen so far. And now we got 2 more stock ups to get to. Another one, Orlando Rebalta. You saw him a little bit last year at the Nationals. Later on in the season, did not look good. But let me tell you this. He's 6'7". He's 27 years old and hasn't really been given a ton of opportunities so far. Hasn't been given any opportunities outside of the Nationals up in the bigs. But in spring training, my one big question mark for this team has been, what will they do with the bullpen? Orlando Rebalta is putting him in a position so far to which Davey Martinez and Mike Rizzo might have him start on the opening day roster. Like, not as a starter, but in the bullpen. And I saw one person kind of throw out this idea in the YouTube comments, was that Orlando Rebalta might be the next mountain for the Washington Nationals. If you don't know what that means, or if you don't know who that is, that's Felix Bautista, the former stud closer for the Baltimore Orioles, who is now healthy coming off Tommy John surgery. I'm not going to go that far yet. I'm not going to say that he's going to be an all-star. But I will go as far to say that I think this guy deserves way more opportunities. And if he continues to pitch well all spring training, if it comes down to, let's say, him and Lucas Sims, who has done it before in the bigs compared to Orlando Revolta, I'm probably going to give the 27-year-old Orlando Revolta a side here. Like, I think that this guy does have the good stuff that you want from a bullpen guy. He has proven to be a pretty nasty pitcher. And so far, he has looked the part. 7 strikeouts in 5 1/3 innings pitch, continues to look good. And Davey Martinez and Mike Rizzo, it's going to be a hard conversation to have amongst who makes the bullpen and who doesn't. Speaking of pitchers, though, another guy who broke out this past season for the Nationals, who worked his way up across multiple different levels, was one of probably the second most impressive pitcher in the system in 2024, right behind Travis Sakura, was Brad Lord. And Brad Lord, his velo is now up to 97 miles per hour on his fastball. That's at least what he has touched so far. Is it just him getting amped up before coming into the game and pumping 97? Maybe. But also, this is just might be what he has worked on this offseason. He's like a former 18th round pick from USF. No one's really heard of him, but he has worked his way into the Nats top 30 prospects. He has worked his way onto Mike Rizzo's radar. People talk about him. People and fans are excited to see him as he continues to perform well. And so far in spring training, again, 7.1 innings pitched, a 0.68 whip on the season. He is looking the part that you want to see. Coming in yesterday's game, eating a couple innings yet again, Brad Lord is looking like a real piece for this Washington Nationals team. And if you're a prospect guy who is out there, you got to make a name for yourself in spring training. And to have a fan base around you is a big deal in this. It is. Because, I'm assuming people out there probably are not going to talk about an 18th or 20th round pick all too often. But when you put up good numbers the way that Brad Lord has so far, you're going to be discussed, and the fans are going to clamor for you to be up in the big. So that is your Nats prospect stock report, where you get the latest on who is hot and who is not. But the Nationals, they've got 3 games this weekend with some interesting pitching matchups, and including a game on television here in the local market tomorrow at noon. So let's preview some weekend baseball for your Washington Nationals after this. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And the Nats and the Mets play tonight. The New York Mets, Juan Soto, someone who used to be ours, won a World Series here, now with the New York Mets for seamlessly the rest of my life. So that sucks. But let's preview this game, because you got Paul Blackburn tonight, right-handed pitcher. You've seen him before. You know him. It's whatever. Then you have Trevor Williams on the bump. I guess you could say a key free agent signing this offseason. He was a National. I was not really expecting him to be back, but he is. And Trevor Williams looked pretty good so far. So you've got him. You've got Paul Blackburn. It'll be an interesting pitching matchup. Unfortunately, you will not be able to watch it, but you can listen to it on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app. So you can check that game out tonight as the Nationals take on the Mets for a rare 6:05 start in West Palm Beach, or wherever the Mets are. Is it like Port St. Lucie or something like that, and down in Florida? So that'll be an interesting matchup you can check out tonight. But then tomorrow, this is the game that you get to watch, and it's an interesting one. It's the Cardinals against the Nats. Yet again, West Palm Beach. The Mid-Atlantic Sports Network will be carrying it. It is a 12:05 first pitch. You have got big-time prospect, in my opinion, or not really a prospect anymore, but someone who is in a key position battle, DJ Hers, going up against Steven Matz. Steven Matz, former left-handed pitcher for the New York Mets. You've seen him. You hate him. He's a Met, former Met, and I hate the Cardinals also, so it's nice to have him, and I can hate him again, so that's cool. But you got DJ Hers. DJ Hers, in my opinion, is in this position battle where he could easily start down in AAA, which I think would be wrong. And he has really not looked like himself through his first few starts here in spring training. But I love DJ Hurst. I have made that very clear. I think this guy is really good. I think the sky is the limit for him. And he just has not looked like his true self so far. He's walked the yard. He's given up some hard contact as well. But I think this is the start where he gets it back on track. And this will be important for him because, again, we don't know who's going to be in the rotation at this point. We obviously know that Jake Irvin, who's going to be starting on Sunday against those Mets yet again, he's going to be in it. Mackenzie Gore, Trevor Williams, and Michael Soroka. That fifth spot is going to be between Shin Ogasawara. You've got potentially DJ Hurst and also Mitchell Parker. I would think that it's going to be between Parker and Hurst, and I would give the nod to Hurst based on this last season. But that's going to be the matchup and really the pitching kind of competition that a lot of people will have to watch for as we continue to inch forward to opening day. So I will catch you guys on the flip side. You get to enjoy Nationals baseball on your televisions this weekend. Until then, have a good one. Go Nats.